We call the meeting to order at 7:30. Everybody rise for the pledge of
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start the roll call of attendance, with regards to Mr. Zoran's seating arrangement, due to the amount of public concern there was at our last meeting, there was a letter that Mr. Zoran presented that was a recommendation from his doctor as to where he should sit. I contacted the lawyer contacted the doctor.
Oh, wait a minute.
The doctor do not interrupt me.
I've
Do
not
not
received
interrupt me.
medical.
Michael, if you interrupt me, I will call for yourself. We received a retraction from the doctor. I have a letter right here. It states to whom it may concern. I retract the letter that was sent to your organization on 4/5/2013. Should you have any questions or concerns regarding this matter, please contact me. Sincerely, Doctor. If somebody wants to FOIA that, you're more than welcome to. I'd also like to remind the audience that they will not participate during board meetings other than public comments unless called upon by the supervisor. Board meetings are open to the public for public viewing only and are not open for public participation in discussions other than public comment. Anyone who cannot follow these guidelines will be asked to leave. Lori, roll call please.
Michael.
Here.
Sandy will be late, but she has an excuse tardy. Kelly.
Here.
Ken.
Here.
Lori here.
Approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
I have a modification to make. I would like to make a modification to the minutes.
That would be on a consent agenda, Mr. Zoran.
Okay,
That's
sounds
the
good.
next one.
I would like to make some changes to the agenda.
Okay.
We need to add a motion to accept the resignation of Bill and Pat Genuine as well as Courtney Brumberkamp.
Do I do all three as one item or separate
I
items?
think that would be okay. Does anybody else have any
All right, so
suggestions?
item number 9 will be accepting of the resignations.
We also need to approve, make a motion to approve Vicki Perriman as our new zoning board member on item number 10.
Okay, item number 10.
Also, we'd like to change the wording under new business number 6 to delete the wording due to lack of support. Anybody else want to make changes to the agenda?
What do you want it to be arranged?
I just want to remove that wording.
So we retract the motion for creating committee to review ordinances.
Yes.
Okay.
Does anybody want to add anything else to the agenda? Make changes? So a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, I'm aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
I would remind the board members that they do have to vote. A silent vote is normally accepted as an A, but you do need to state that you are saying A.
Okay. We need to show that treasurer key arrived this time. Motion to approve consent agenda.
Do you have a problem or an addition or something with the minutes, Michael?
Yes, on April 17th, the minutes for the meeting, it does not include my motion, which says, motion by Trustee Zoran to rebid for a township website with ads placed in the Times Herald for open bidding with a minimum of 3 bids required to be received. That had no second. I then also made another motion that said, I make a motion to rebid for a township website, for the purpose of getting 3.
The purpose of minutes is to reflect actions. If a motion is not seconded and voted upon, it is not an action. So it does not reflect, it is not reflected in the minutes.
All right.
Is there any other discussion about the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, open session. Anyone who wishes to address the board on any non-agenda item may do so. I'd like to remind you to step up to the podium, your name, your address. Also, we have our policy right there for our township for public participation. You'll be reminded one time how to participate. If you cannot follow those policies, you'll be asked to remove.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Helen Hazuka. I am the deputy clerk for the township of Cottrellville. I want to bring to the board's attention something that happened on the afternoon of Monday, April 15th at about 2:50 p.m. Your one trustee, Mr. Zoran, came in with 2 young gentlemen requesting some copies for some forms, but one of the young gentlemen was there with a camera filming our conversation. I want to let the board know that this is a felony under Michigan Penal Code 750.539, which specifically states, any person who is present or who is not present during a private conversation and who willfully uses any device to eavesdrop upon a conversation without the consent of all parties thereto, or who knowingly aids, employs, or procures another person to do the same in violation of this section, is guilty of a felony punishable by imprisonment in a state prison for not more than 2 years, or by a fine of not more than $2,000 for both. I have been in touch with the St. Clair County Sheriffs concerning this situation and verifying that this, as I interpret this law, is correct. They have stated so. I also have been in touch with my legal counsel, and I am stating to you verbally today that this will cease and desist. It is a violation of my rights as an employee and as a citizen. Item number 2. I have noticed on previous meetings there have been some complaints about an employee. I need to remind you that under the Open Meetings Act, to hear complaints or have complaints about an employee is a reason for meeting in closed session. If you are to make a complaint about an employee or your evaluation or dismissal or suspension or disciplining of an employee, the employee needs to be notified first and ask for their consent whether that needs to be, whether they want it in open session or closed session. So I would like to see no more complaints about any employees or the violation of their rights. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please remember, man, there's a camera going.
Andy's also step in the back, or you will be asked to be removed.
It's not distracting anybody.
It's It's not, it's against our policy.
It's ridiculous.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, Runyon, Frontage, Trustee Michael Zoran is not so innocent and righteous as he portrays himself to be. He has a website, it's Tom Raymond, the worst employee in the history of Cottrellville Township. A few quotes from this website. Tom Raymond must weigh 450 pounds. He's all good, it's double hard. Thomas Raymond had arms like a girl because Thomas Raymond has no muscle at all. This is Zoran's website. Isn't it funny how Zoran uses pseudonyms and harassed Raymond? Tom Raymond is also referred to as a psychopath. On this website, Zoran controls, yet Mr. Zoran does not consider this bullying. He can dish it out, but he can't take it. Then he wonders why an elderly resident would refer to him in such a manner. Nobody supports anyone calling Mr. Zoran names, but isn't it odd that he has done exactly the same thing to others? Michael Zoran provokes to get outcomes he wants, so he can get that on video. Mr. Zoran continues to try to control all meetings. It's always about Michael's rights as he follows residents around for gotcha moments, not to mention his camera turned on in a paper bag that he carries so that you can hear audio private conversations between residents. It does seem strange. Michael at first wanted to sit next to Supervisor Lisco because she could then hear negative comments directed at him. Well, that didn't work. Then Mr. Zoran got an neurologist to write a script which has been redacted. And by the way, why hasn't the March meeting been on YouTube? Why was the special meeting on April 17th edited for YouTube? Mr. Zoran states that he will be showing whichever meetings are considered to be most important at the time. Does Mr. Zoran pick and choose and edit what he wants residents to see or not see? Residents in this township have gotten so much from so few because we had a bunch of able-bodied retiree volunteers, not what Mr. Zoran calls good old boys, who wanted to do something positive for their township and enjoyed it. That is just it. Mr. Zoran is on his own agenda looking for what is wrong with this township, blind to what is right. He has discouraged volunteers. Parks and Rec is pretty much dissolved. Residents do not want to continually be videoed. We also are losing good people volunteering. None of them want to be around all the constant chaos, nor do they need the stress in their lives. Mr. Zoran could be an asset to this township, but he's choosing not to. When Mr. Zoran doesn't get the answers he wants, like a coward, he goes on the internet to disparage those who do not agree with him, behind their backs, for the world to see. Inviting guests who know nothing.
To my sergeant at arms, I'm sorry for
Is it
interrupting.
3 minutes though?
No, it's not. My sergeant at arms, it's time. Thank you. I appreciate your help.
Inviting guests who know nothing about Cottrellville to comment on his lies and his interpretation of events. True to form, Mr. Zoran is attacking the very board he serves on with the pretense of him being so experienced and all noble for his camera. Mr. Zoran told the residents
Yeah, thank
that
you.
revenge is sweet.
We appreciate
What
your
does that
comments.
tell you about him?
Is there anybody else wishing to address public comments?
Right here.
So bad I finished first. Ellen Jones on the Marco Road. And Michael Zoran told a resident recently that revenge is sweet. What does that tell you about this man? No one begrudges Mr. Zoran his handicap. I have been around a lot of handicapped people, and not one of them used their handicap as a crutch and an excuse for what they could and could not do. They worked well with others, never complaining, nor talking about their handicap, nor asking for special treatment, and were admired by all those around them. I did not vote for many of the present board members, but I want Cottrellville Township to do well. So I support this board in all their efforts to do positive things for Cottrellville residents. Mr. Zoran, you are not engaged with the board you serve, and because of your negativity, you are bound and determined to embarrass yourself, Cottrellville Township, and all of its residents.
Is there any other resident of Cottrellville that would like to speak?
Can I speak?
I asked if there's any other resident of Cottrellville that would like to speak at this time.
It's me.
You may speak.
Thank you very much. Madam Supervisor, the Michigan Open Meetings Act does not limit comments to residents of Cottrellville.
Exactly, but I can decide on who I'd rather choose to speak first. Michael.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is Kyle Sunday, 5555 Chartier Road. While looking at the St. Clair County court dockets, I noticed that you, Supervisor Kelly Fiscelli, are currently being arraigned for 3 crimes by the city of Morgan City. The first is failure to stop at the scene of a property damage accident. The second is failure to report an accident. The third is operator's license improper change of address, a misdemeanor. On April 18, 2013, you were arraigned by the Marine City Police Department. Your fingerprints were officially filed. On May 1st, 2013, you had a pre-trial, and your case was not dismissed. You are now going to have a jury trial. I want to know the date of your trial.
I did not discuss my personal business.
But you don't mind if the public comes to your court case?
I have no statement.
No statement, okay. Do you mind if the public records your court case?
I do not discuss
Very well.
my personal business.
But why would someone run from an accident like that? I mean, the only reason why I can
I
think of
do
someone
not
who runs from an
discuss my
accident
personal business.
is
If you
if
want to
someone-
continue, I will ask you to be excused. That's it. You can go to the court case. I'm sure you're well aware of the date and the time. Other than that, I do not discuss it. If you have something else to talk about, feel free to. If not, go sit down.
Drunk driver on the back of
Or you'll be asked to leave.
I'd like to compliment Mr. Michael Zoran on the positive work he did for me, that ordinance review committee last month. During the March meeting, the law firm of Fahey Schultz, which I believe is a large municipal law firm in Michigan, representing 83 townships,
3 minutes.
said council of township needs to update its ordinances. Trustee Zoran said that Fahey Schultz explained that ordinances from 1967, 1991, and other dates obviously need to be examined. Trustee Zoran also said that Fahey Schultz said all of the township ordinances need to be examined because the planning commission doesn't have the skill needed to perform such duties. It isn't even legally allowed to handle many forms of zoning ordinances. This is why the ordinance review committee is such a fantastic idea. So that's people who volunteer and work for free, find problems in the ordinances, and then find solutions to those problems. If the planning commission does not have a volunteer at this time, according to the statutory laws of Michigan, the ordinance review committee does not cease to exist. That would be like saying a board no longer exists because somebody couldn't make it to a meeting. All this means that there will be an empty seat dedicated to a planning commission member. The ordinance review committee is the most positive thing that
Your
happens
time's up.
in the township in a long time.
We're going to move on to unfinished
Actually,
business.
Supervisor, I thought you were going to invite other people too.
Who was the last person that raised his hand?
There's other people back there.
Who was the last person that raised his hand?
He had his hand raised.
I apologize. Oh. What's your name, please?
Austin Adams.
And your address?
He's a resident of Cottrellville.
Doesn't know where it is.
Not everybody feels comfortable in that environment.
My person is. Kelly, you are the worst supervisor I've ever seen. Your meetings have absolutely ignored it because you have no idea what you're doing as a supervisor. You've received 6 months worth of training experience. We're not new anymore. The excuse has gotten old. These meetings should have order, and you don't provide it as Supervisor Kelly. To say that you don't use Robert's Rules of Order is absurd, and it proves we need Robert's Rules of Order to bring order to these meetings. I could not believe that when Mr. Michael Zoran rights were negatively bothered by you for good old boys, while Mr. Zoran was publicly speaking last week. The motion passed earlier in the meeting's making it 100% clear that board comments would be 100% invulnerable to interruption in the same way that public comments were when Trustee Ken Chartier negatively interrupted Mr. Zoran by saying, "Motion to be adjourned." It made me sick. When Kelly Fiscelli seconded the motion, it made me want to throw up because, sorry, tomato potato, right? When Mr. saying by the motion it made me sick. Second, the motion, it made me want to throw up because of the way Michael Zoran was being illegally bullied by your poor good old boy. When Treasurer Sandra Kias and Clerk Lori Russellberg joined you, I knew this board was even more corrupt and more illegal than a former group of Tom Raymond era good old boys ever was.
Kyle, before I interrupt you, you don't state your address. I need your address, that's what we stated before the meeting.
That's not a mandatory requirement according to
It's a requirement of my meeting, thank you, Michael. I stated
Attorney John
before.
McNamee has not taken an ordinance enforcement case
If you
report
cannot
since 2006.
establish your address.
Yet he was
then
charged the
stop.
township over $20,000.
You're done,
last
you're
year.
done. Thank
Appreciate it,
you.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Actually, ma'am, I have a comment.
Michael, if you have a comment, you need to go up to the podium as president.
Hey, I'd like to make a comment. I'm a resident of Cottrellville.
Sure, you can go first before Michael. Michael, if you don't mind.
Excuse me, I'm kind of unprepared here.
Can you state your name and address?
My name is
please?
Gary Isaac. My address is 6129 Marine City Highway. Do I have 3 minutes or do I have
Yes,
a floor
sir.
for how long?
You have 3 minutes.
3 minutes, all right, I'll talk, guys. I'm sure I'll stick a lot.
Okay.
I've lived there probably for about 10 years. After about 3 years, the house down by Myers was picked up and brought put right next to my house. They built a slope, which is similar to this, and I got every bit of the runoff. The township would not give them occupancy permit until that was fixed. And his idea to fix it was he dug a low drainage ditch about yay deep to the back of the property line. It lasted maybe a year. It was piss poor in the first place. I came in here last fall and I talked to Mr. Clausen, I believe, showed him pictures and everything. I've had 3 renters in that house since that house was put there. And it's this close from going into bankruptcy. I explained that to Mr. Clausen. I told him my situation, gave him pictures. His remarks were, let the bank take care of it. There's clearly states of ordinance runoff from someone else's property. I sent you a certified letter about 2 weeks ago that you signed for, and I gave you 2 weeks to sign it. I would like to know
Is that with
what.
the pictures?
That's exactly
Okay,
the
I just
pictures.
actually picked up yesterday. I didn't do
Okay,
it.
well, I haven't received anything from you.
I just picked up the.
Okay, well, I'll look on my email.
Okay.
And, I mean, just cut to the chase. I'm not dealing with Mr. Clausen, I'm done with him. You've seen the pictures, what I'm dealing with. I don't care to get into politics, I care less. I want you taken care of.
I like to commend you for coming here to talk about an
Okay,
actual
like I said, I don't
issue.
have time for all this, and I don't know you, and there's a sign stuck out in front of my front yard for you. I've tried to deal with the homeowner on several occasions, I got emails, he cares less. Why? He's a slumlord, he put that house there, he's had 4 renters in it since. The water runs to the south, it does not run to the ditch. And at this point, again, I don't have a problem dealing with you, I'll personally deal with you one-on-one. You want someone else there, I don't have a problem with that. Mr. Clausen, I'm not speaking to him, I'm done with him.
And as I said, I just
Okay,
received your letter yesterday.
so that issue I need looked at, I need resolved. Otherwise, I need a map with Cottrellville Township, I'm gonna knock on every door in the township. And then I'm gonna explain what's going on, and then I'm gonna sue, okay? Because I feel that's a cut and dry case, you see this.
I saw the
Okay,
pictures.
well, I appreciate you looking at it.
Okay, and I will call you tomorrow with the.
Okay, that's fine. And again, I don't have a problem talking to you. I'm all about going with the chain of command. You, Mr. Clausen?
No, Mr. Chartier.
Yeah, and I can go time to time deal with a guy.
Thank you for giving
Didn't you
that.
speak to Mr. Clausen?
Yes. And
Did
he
you
said,
look like me?
I don't know who you are, I don't care. Okay?
You just
I
asked.
seen Mr. Clausen one time, it was a year ago. I don't care who you are. You Mr. Chartier? Yeah.
And
I
I'm
don't
sorry,
care.
to cut you
I've
off,
heard the
but I
name.
will call you tomorrow.
Okay, I appreciate it.
If you look on the receipt too, it will.
Well, that's fine, and I'll come in here and talk to you if you want to do that or whatever,
Absolutely,
you know.
sure.
But, okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
My name is Vicki Perriman, I live at 687 River Road. I have to say, I am so disheartened coming, this is one of the first board meetings, I've been away for the winter and I've come back. There are so many issues in this township that needs a unified group working on it, and nothing that this open forum has done but personal attacks on everybody. I honestly feel, I mean, I am applying to become on the ZBA board because I want to give back to this community that I like living in, but I honestly have to say that it has to stop all these personal attacks on everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
My name is Michael Zoran of 5865 Marine City Highway. On April 17th, 2013, I came to this special meeting that was held here where only one person was in attendance. My mother, who drives me here because I'm disabled with epilepsy. The reason only one person was in attendance was because the public was not properly notified. According to the Michigan Open Meetings Act, you need to notify the public 18 hours in advance of a special meeting, and it needs to be put on the township website. Otherwise, it is a violation of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. It was not put on the township website, therefore, it was a violation. Everything that happened at that meeting, I have confirmed with the Michigan Township Association, can be legally challenged in circuit court. Now, what that means is, items on tonight's agenda should not be voted on. I'm going to abstain from the lawn issue, for example. I also want people to know that at that meeting, there was the website voted on. And what that meant was, for the second bid in a row, only one bid was good enough. I specifically said we need to have a rebid so that we get at least 3 bids. I even offered to personally pay the advertising costs in the Times Herald newspaper, yet the other board members would not allow that to happen. I think it's incredibly interesting that this website company goes back to an organization that is associated with the campaign manager of Kelly Fiscelli-Lisco. He runs an organization called the Macomb First Business Alliance. All those people are part of that same group. That's very disturbing to me. It says corruption all the way. So I'd like to...
Your 3 minutes are up. Thank you.
I'd like to thank you.
With regards to Mr. Zoran's stated at the last meeting that we're having a legal meeting, I checked with the MTA attorney. The MTA and the attorney both agreed that Mr. Zoran was incorrect due to the fact that at the present time, the township's website does not include monthly or more frequent updates of the public meeting agenda or minutes. This is something that we're unable to do with our current website. That's why we're seeking to start a new website. With regards to the website that we have now, that is something that actually Sandy and I looked for together and found it has nothing to do with my lynching group. Just like to state that. We're going to move on to unfinished business. Motion to approve the lawn care.
Supervisor, I looked at all of the bids, and the best price seems to be the one from Tim's. So I would move that we accept his bid for being a lawn maintenance company.
What was it? Its total was $405 per cut. Is there a second?
Hold on, I want to discuss that one because I was looking at that and there was something that I had a question about.
Actually, it shows 300 and something on there, but the cemetery, I called him and it was $75 for the cemetery.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was
I was reading that because I like it. It wasn't that one. Okay. So your motion is to
Except the bid from Tim's Lawn.
approve the time for
That what we never did have a continuation of the previous contract, is that correct?
No, he thought that there was, and I could not find anything in the township hall. I asked him to provide a copy of it, and he was unable to provide a copy of it, nor did he bid.
I will second that motion.
Any discussion? You don't have any?
I'm just going to point out that was a violation of the Open Meetings Act due to the fact that the simple, go visit the township website, you'll see that it has been
Mr.
updated.
Zoran?
Mr.
In order
Zoran,
for
where
you
is
to
it?
abstain, Kelly, in order for a board member to abstain, it has to be voted on by the board to allow him to abstain. It is his duty as a trustee of this township to vote on every item that comes before the board for vote. It is not a personal conflict to him at this point. He is not involved in the business that we are considering. He is required by law to vote.
All right, so are you asking me what my vote is still?
No, we're not asking what you're.
Okay, fine, then, you know, I mean, I looked over the bids as well, I mean, they were obviously very difficult because of the way that they were priced in separate sections like that. So, I mean, it sounds like Mr. Chartier did some good investigation. They all appear to be very close work, you know, so, but the one from Tim's did look pretty good, so I would agree with that.
Any other discussion? So, Mr. Chartier is making a motion to accept the bid from Tim's Lawn Care.
And I said, thank you.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to new business. A motion to approve a portable restroom company for the township park. There were 3 bids that I was able to get that were local.
They just kind of jumped about because I didn't know anything about the TV.
Does anybody want to make a motion?
So we don't have to.
It's going to be for handicap units for one portable cleaning at the township park.
I read through the contracts that were submitted with the pricing, and there were a few, I'm not sure why, 28 days versus the month is anything, but ABC Home and Commercial Services for $115 for every 28 days. It appears to be the best price, and reading through what it is they offer, they weekly to do the cleaning, and let's see, is this for
It is for a handicap, that's it.
and I would make a motion that we approve the contract to go to ABC Home and Commercial Services for $115 for every 28 days.
I'll second. Any discussion?
He does have a lot of exclusions in his bid compared to the other ones. Whether or not those have been concerned to the township or ever been an issue before.
Like what?
What he's going to do, if there's anything missing, if it goes over some additional charges, his 28-day cycle.
I noticed the other one's a 28-day cycle too, Jason.
Yeah, that's what, when I called, that's what they told me the norm was. And we see what number of units is, and it says 1-88, that's what they refer to as a handicap unit.
Oh, okay.
So we can ask them to include that in the contract.
Right down here.
You can ask them to, that their township's not responsible for missing parts or, is that how you want to put it?
Yes.
Okay, with the inclusion. Okay, so with the inclusion of what in the contract? You wanted to add something?
There, we're going to just clarify that that's a handicap
Oh, all right,
unit.
clarification.
You have to put that in parentheses. Okay.
We had a motion and a second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. motion for pest control. The township property.
This one was interesting.
I did, just so you know, I did call Orkin as well, and they scheduled for appointment, but never came out. And Mr. D's pest control, I left him a voicemail, and never contacted me back. So we always worry about this stuff.
In comparison, it was interesting to see the details they did things and included in the price. I think Apex for the 12, I'm not sure why we would need it for 12 months apart. Is there any reason for that?
No, they just, that was just their way that they put up with it.
3 months for $700 seems exorbitant to me for the Apex. Zeo's Pest, I like the idea that they would train an IPM coordinator, which is the integrated pest management, which would be one of our employees to do the checking and coordinate with their company. Their price seemed more reasonable than the other. It was $400 for the season for the park only, $375 for the hall and garage, but together it was $775 total for the season. And that to me seems kind of high too. So with those two being that high, ABC Home and Commercial Services came out to be $550 for the season. And they would come out and do touch-up problems one time after 4 to 5 weeks at no additional charge.
And they're covering the same amount of area.
Right.
We saved $225 for the same night. I had a couple of recommendations. You know, I didn't even know, I thought they were for porta potty, I didn't know that they were custom.
Yeah, I didn't know if they did porta potties or pest control. Well, I knew they did pest control, I didn't know that they did porta potties and septic fields. Or septic clean.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept pest control?
Can we just table this for one more meeting to clarify these?
Second.
Second.
Okay, motion
Can I make a motion?
by, I think it turned into one whether.
Okay.
See what it is that you want to do?
So motion to table for more clarification.
Mike is second. Okay, all in favor of Ken's motion?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Raymond.
Opposed? Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Motion carried. Okay, motion to accept resolution R 2013-07, which is the county road commission right-of-way maintenance agreement, which is standard every year.
I would ask that the inclusion of Clerk Wilsilver to the roll call vote. I realize I'm the one that typed this up and I omitted my own name, so I need to put it in there.
Is this something that our DPW guy looked at also? resolution goes along with the right of way because it's he's on it's gotta be the water and the sewer.
You didn't look at this? It's just standard for what I was told that all of the municipalities in St. Clair County sign so that if we're working on our roads, the road commission in the county of St. Clair isn't responsible for doing what we do.
This is one of those boilerplate resolutions that has to go through. For instance, at tax time, Sandy has to put through the resolutions to accept or, what is it you have to do, Sandy, with the resolutions? The resolutions that the treasurer has to put through, so it's covered. The acceptance of late fees or penalties, and a resolution to forgive if your bill is $1, that we don't even charge them for that $1, that type of thing. So it's just kind of a boilerplate resolution that they have renewed every year to cover their requirements. Do you mind if I open it a little bit?
No, that was wrong. And it's basically the county requires that we have a permit to work within the county road regulator. It's to send every renewal and include our insurance with it.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution R2013-07.
I wanted to ask, just at one point, hold on, I just want to be 100% certain. Are we still in discussion, or have we not started?
You can make a motion and have discussion, or you
Yeah,
can
that's-
discuss and then make a motion, or you can have discussion at any point in time.
Okay, yeah, because the way this resolution looks to me, it almost looks like it's an excuse to allow businesses, to allow people to get injured and things like that, but not sue them, even if they could potentially have serious injuries.
That's exactly what it is. It's a waiver for the county, so when they are using their workers to fix our roads, that they aren't held accountable, we are, because they're fixing our roads. It's a standard boilerplate thing. You go to a bounce house where the kids go in and play in the bouncy things. They make you sign a waiver saying, if your child gets injured, you do not hold the bounce house responsible. So that's pretty much what that is.
Is someone going to be held accountable along the way, so that if, for example, during a pipe explosion along the property or something, I got my arm blown off, will I be able to sue someone? Because it looks like it places limits on the...
That's why everybody has insurance.
But it kind of looks like in that resolution, there's still limits that are going to be placed. Because, I mean, there's a lot of hardworking, underpaid people out there, so, you know, I don't like the idea of them being disabled the rest of their life and then not being able to sue.
Again, you're going to have the waiver no matter what. Either you have the people, have them do the work for you, and you sign the waiver stating that they aren't going to be held accountable for working on your roads, and their personnel getting injured, or we don't get the work done.
See, you know,
It's pretty standard anymore in this suit-happy, litigation-hungry society that we live in.
the only thing though is, I mean, it's also pretty standard to, when you're going to pass a resolution, most places have it nowadays, so that you're told the resolution's going to be there next month, and you can study up, and, you know, I know Mr. Chartier and I only picked up our agenda a couple days ago.
Well, Mr. Zoran, we have an agenda policy that says the agendas are ready for pickup on Thursday prior to the meeting. And it's always been so, except for one time when I phoned you and said it's going to be late. Every Thursday, the agenda was ready. You didn't show up, so I called you as a courtesy to say, you haven't picked it up, come pick it up. But I don't have to do that, and this last week has been really crazy here, and I have misplaced things and forgotten things because I'm going crazy.
Okay, let's stick to, let me get a motion to accept the resolution.
If it's acceptable to
You have to have it.
I move that we
It's a
accept the
requirement.
resolution of the railroads.
I'll second it.
So, just so it's clear, accept the resolution R2013-07.
Further.
Only so it's clear that we all know what we're doing.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Oh, we need a roll.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. It's a resolution.
Hold on a second. Until you second.
Yep.
Roll call vote. Michael?
No.
Sandy?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
And Lori, yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to motion to extend the current contract with Ontario pending receipt of closed bids and the awarding new contract for garbage service pickups.
As a item of discussion here, I thought this would be a good time to mention the spring cleanup. I talked to the guy from Mterra, and he actually said that it doesn't matter whether the contract is renewed, because he's the current provider. He will allow 2 bins, a total of 3 bins, 1 for steel, 1 for non-steel, and 1 for tires. And his policy, he says there's a certain amount, I believe he said it's up to 50 tires that are free. The other 2 providers that I have been in contact with, the one doesn't even allow tires to be picked up. And the other company charges between $250 to $350 per tire, starting at every tire.
Okay, so what does this have to do with extending the current contract?
Well, I guess,
To extend it.
well, I'm just talking, because this was an unusual month where the board meeting came before the planning commission meeting. So, before the Parks and Recreation Committee meeting. So it really needed to be.
We didn't have parking lots due to lack of funds.
Well, I mean, that could change. I mean, there's a thing on the website asking for volunteers.
But which would be for next month, if people show up.
Right.
When they show up.
Well, I mean, there is still going to be, or there should be.
They're the second Monday of every month, and nobody showed up. So we're now ready for next month.
Okay. Well, the point is, we need to get the spring cleanup in.
Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize, it would be Monday.
Right, that's what because I was thinking, when I looked at the calendar, I remember it being weird at this time.
Okay.
But the bottom line is, last month, it was tentative for the spring cleanup to be May 11th. Obviously, we won't be able to do that. So if we can decide upon a potential date, it really needs to be done, because we can get those 3 dumpsters, and it will be for 100% free.
Well, with regards to how do we get the free dumpsters?
They'll be delivered here to the town hall.
But how can we get them for free?
Oh, because the current service provider, Mterra, will bring them here.
Well, what kind of consideration are they being given to give us a free dumpster? We have to in return give them something. So what is that consideration?
Well, the way it was explained to me is they actually will make money from whatever steel they're brought, and the same can be said for the tires, for the rubber or something. So,
So we don't have to give them anything. We don't have to. They'll just, out of the kindness of their heart, give us the dumpsters for free.
they will actually be profiting from the steel.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm not seeing a connection between that and extending Mterra's.
No, there isn't. I'm saying, I just thought that this would be a good time to mention.
Well, I believe we are talking about new business number 4, which is extend the current
Okay,
contract,
well-
which really has nothing to do with spring cleanup.
That's first.
Yeah, they're definitely different subjects, but if you wanted to schedule that spring cleanup date based
That's
around
not an
that.
item on the agenda for today.
Okay.
So we need to make a motion to extend the current contract with Ontario pending the receipt of closed bids and awarding of the new contract for garbage pickup services.
How long?
How long are we staying?
For 3 months.
3 months?
Yes.
And
And they're agreeable to that,
Okay.
and they know that.
And it's gonna be at the same price that we came out.
Yep.
I will make a motion.
Okay, hold on, we're still in discussion. Now, what happens after the 3 months, when it goes out for bid? Are those bids?
It's up for bid right now.
Okay, so now is that bid being publicly advertised? Okay, okay. Now, the other thing, as far as the garbage company in Empire goes, are they the only company that, you've had like meetings with?
No, being that I have a new job and I looked over the current contract and what they need me to extend the contract, I had several questions, and even though we've had a few complaints, they did want to raise the price of our garbage service. I'm aware that legally we can extend the contract, but due to the increase of the pricing and the length of time that the company has serviced our area, I felt it best to talk with somebody who's more familiar with garbage. So I called the director at the landfill, Mr. Matt Williams, and I asked him to help me guide me through the process. If there's questions, and I don't really know too much about garbage pickup. So he sent over several contracts from other communities, looked them over. I had a couple ideas of maybe different ways that we could approach things. I asked him if he would help me with the bidding process. Right now,
I can hear you.
I asked him to help me with the bidding policy, so to send out the wording for the bidding policy as well as the specifications. He helped me complete that, so I was able to send that out to, actually, I also asked him which companies dump at the landfill, and I have 11 of them here that he gave me. I created a package for the bid policy and the specs. I sent them to all 11 companies. We are going to have a mandatory bidding meeting at the landfill with Mr. Williams, along with Mr. Bone, who's our county chairperson, and Mr. Lonston, who runs the Detroit incinerator, to help guide me. But we're asking that anybody who wants to bid, come to the landfill. If they have questions, they'll be willing to help me answer them, being that they're all knowledgeable and professional in that. So that will be next Wednesday at 10 o'clock at the landfill.
Now,
Bids.
thank you, I just want to look at this real quick. Okay, so all of these companies are going to be bidding? Or should-
I don't know if they're going to be
or
bidding.
they
I
will
sent
all-
them packages.
Okay.
Going back to the topic at hand, which is, are we going to extend the 3 months period for Emterra because we need to have garbage pickup coverage between now and the time in which we
Right.
decide on a new company or decide to keep Emterra. The topic at hand right now is extending the contract for 3 months with Emterra. And I make a motion that we extend for 3 months our existing contract with Emterra, so that our community is covered with garbage pickup.
And they are agreeable to that.
I'll
I
second
can
that.
talk to Gary. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I make a motion that because an overwhelming majority of my constituents have lost faith in, because he has not taken a case to court in several years, for
Michael,
example,
this is
in
not on
2012.
board. Michael, if you cannot control yourself, I will call recess. This is nothing on the agenda, and you're speaking out of turn.
And I'm trying to write down the last motion, and if you're going to talk, then I need to pay attention to you, and I can't do both at the
It
same
is
time.
not for discussion at this time. Let me know when you're ready, Lori.
Okay, thank you.
I make a motion
Moving on
that
to
because,
Michael. One more time, and we'll have a recess. You're out of cover.
I'm just making a motion.
There's no topic up for discussion.
Exactly.
I can make
Okay,
a
we're done.
motion.
No, it's not on the agenda.
It's not.
It doesn't need it.
Okay, I call for a recess.
I'll, to recess
Until
at
Mr. Zoran can gather himself and follow our board policy.
8:27.
43.
We need to vote on that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can't read the
Opposed?
42.
call the meeting back to order. I would like to remind anybody that's recording anybody, our meeting is called to recess. There's a felony. We do have a police officer outside that we can talk to about that. Motion to approve the planning commission workshop attendance. The planning commission has asked to go to Frankenmuth for a topic regarding planning and zoning, as well as MSU for placement curriculum. 4 of the commissioners wanted to attend Frankenmuth, 3 wanted to attend MSU, and this is for continued education.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Hold on, you guys are too quick. So are we approving, just to clarify the motion so that we can have everything covered, we're approving the 4 board members to go to hot topics in planning and zoning, and the 3 to go to Michigan placemaking curriculum with the grand total of $601. Is that your motion, Mr.?
Yes, sir. Ma'am, that's exactly right. I mean, exactly right, as appearing on the agenda.
Any discussion?
Never a time that you do not allow someone to have training. Always valuable.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm not here for aye, folks.
Motion to retract, are you ready? Motion to retract, motion for creating committee to review ordinances.
I'll make a motion that we retract that.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. Last month, the 4 board members supported the motion that I made to form an ordinance review committee. Because obviously, you know, we had Fahey Schultz, the largest law firm, municipal law firm in Michigan, that represents 83 townships here in March. And they made it clear, you know, we have ordinances that need to be updated. I mean, some of them are dated 1967, some 1991. And even though the Planning Commission, which Mr. Chartier is a part of, has spent time you know, looking those things over, there was no doubt that the municipal law firm of Fahey Schultz still said they needed to be updated. They were not good enough. So what that means is I formed this motion to form a new committee. And it was made up of 2 Cottrellville Township residents, 2 business owners, 1 board member, which I volunteered for, and 1 planning commission member. So at the planning commission, you know, I noticed, as I'm sure Mr. Chartier may have updated some of you, nobody volunteered. So what that means is, you know, I noticed the way it appeared originally due to lack of support. I presume that meant from the planning commission. I confirmed with the Michigan Township Association that it can still exist with an empty seat from the planning commission until they decide to ever have a volunteer. So, because you know, I definitely want the planning commission's voice to be heard at all times. But you know, it could just still exist with an empty seat. So I'm curious, why are you now deciding you do not want to support it when there clearly is a need? We haven't had an ordinance enforced in Cottrellville Township since 2010.
When I put this on the agenda, it was because there was lack of support for the fulfillment of the motion as it was created and voted on. The motion, if you would look at your minutes, was that it would consist of 1 board member, 1 planning commission member, 2 business owners, and 2 residents. If the whole planning commission board took it as an insult, which some of them did, and did not want to have anything to do with it, then that motion fails for lack of support. So you have to retract that motion because it cannot now be fulfilled as stated and voted on. That,
Go ahead.
thank you.
Okay, are you finished?
So, the motion as it was with the for lack of support was because it would not be fulfilled with the person from the planning commission. However, after reconsideration, I think it should be retracted completely because we were given this item last minute with no ability to look over the concept of it, the content of it, and to have a good reasonable amount of time to think about it. And I find it insulting to our planning commission to now say, oh, we are going to now look over your work and we're gonna tear it apart. Or we're gonna bring it to you to change, or these people just requested more training. What kind of training do you and 3 other people have to fulfill and to know and to truly review in a coherent and copacetic manner to then report back to us as a board, bypassing the planning commission that is paid by this township to create these ordinances, that have taken the time that they take to create these ordinances, which take a very long time to create. And I think it was bad on my part for jumping to the vote of yes when I should have thought about it better. I think I did a disservice to this community by jumping to that conclusion because it was given to us at the last minute without proper time to research it and to think about it. So I am asking this board to retract that motion to create that committee and let it die. We have a planning commission that has done a great job over all these years, and I am very happy with them. And I apologize to the planning commission if I have insulted you in any way, shape, or form with the vote that I cast for that meeting. I'm sorry, I'm done.
Mr. Chartier, do you have anything for discussion on this matter?
No, I made the motion that we retract it.
Okay, I have, from the planning commission, the meeting minutes, and stated in the minutes during public comments that Michael Zoran requested participation of the planning commissioner member on a new voluntary board to review township ordinances. Several planning commission members responded unfavorably to this request as they see it as a duplication of what is already being provided in the township. The planning commission has been reviewing ordinances continually, in the last 10 years, and this would be a waste of resources, time, and money. It was pointed out that there is already a process for concerns with ordinances or suggestions on ordinances already in place. Excuse me, a roll call was held to see if anyone wanted to participate on this review group, and there was no interest. I also would like to give my apologies to the planning commission for my hasty decision. I should have asked for it to be tabled and reviewed and went to the planning commission to see what their thoughts were. I do appreciate their time and their effort that they put into the township. And I hope to move a little slower on things like that in the future. Sandy, did you have anything?
I agree.
The whole point of the ordinance review committee is that it's just an advisory committee. It actually has, in many areas, more power than the planning commission, because the planning commission is limited in terms of the zones that it can work in. That's something both Fahey Schultz mentioned, and of course, the drainage commissioner, Mr. Bob Violate, he specifically, in fact, he was actually the one who said I should do that. It was, a universally accepted thing that in terms of zones, they lack the power.
Okay, well, I think we're going to move on to restate the motion.
The motion was by Mr. Chartier to retract the motion for creating a committee to review ordinances, and was seconded by
Supervisor,
We're going to vote. I'm moving along. Michael, I have that right.
You're being ridiculous.
I can't discuss, this is
We
discussion.
were discussing.
And you interrupted.
Michael, we could sit here for an hour and I'd still be interrupted.
That's acceptable.
You discussed it ahead of time, we went through the board, I allowed you to finish. It's my choice when it's time to move on, I'm choosing to move on, sorry.
Me
We're gonna
too.
do a vote.
I got elected, and I'm very
Motion
sorry.
here.
Madam, Mrs. Lisco, I feel that Mr. Zoran is extremely rude in interrupting you at these times, and I feel he should be gavelled a little more often. He is very disruptive to these meetings, and I take great
Why is
offense
she
to that.
telling her what to do?
Call for a vote. All in favor?
I'd like
Makes
to roll
Detroit look
good. Roll call, please.
Michael,
No.
Sandy,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Lori, yes.
Motion carried. Motion for relief for sewer bill with the water leak.
Okay, that one came tonight. What we have here is not enough information to consider it, so I make a motion to table it until next month's meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Look, it's very hot, and I watched it days over, so, there was one instance in particular about that I wanted to talk about, but to tell you the truth, I don't really think it would matter, so just go ahead.
So are you voting yes or no?
To table this, to table it next month's meeting.
Yeah, let's take it.
Motion carries. Moving on to upgrading the server or renewing it.
Okay. This is on this month's agenda because we are up for a renewal of the service maintenance renewal, which is $374. I spoke with Mr. Ricari, Paul from,
Yep.
and he said that our server is getting pretty old. It's 5 years old and it's pretty much near the end of its service. He said it's a T110. Honestly, this makes no sense to me, but it's a T110. They don't make it anymore. And at this point in time, every year we have to do the upgrade of, or the renewal of the server maintenance. He sent me two options. He said we could upgrade our sewer. We could upgrade our server for approximately $3,000 at this point in time, but over the next 3 years, we would not be charged the maintenance renewal, which would save us eventually, over the 3 years period of time, $1,400. So the end actual cost of the new server would be $1,600. Our other option is to keep renewing and either wait for our server to die on us, which is never a good idea, or give it another year, at which time the maintenance renewal will go up because it's getting older. With regard to the, if we got a new server, computer stuff is great to me, so that's all I really know. I don't quite understand the logistics of it. I should have switched him over to Sandy.
Are you having problems with your server?
Yeah, it's getting old. We are really having problems getting email, internet. We are constantly calling the IT guy to help us get it fixed because every other day we're not getting the emails and whatnot. So I leave it up to the board to decide if we want to do the server maintenance renewal or if we want to invest in a new server.
Get a new IT person. Does that mean the warranty isn't covered anymore? His contract is up in August.
Oh, so you may just want to,
I'm just wondering if it's part of his, it says it's covered under his managed service contract.
right, and I'm sure that this is part, part of the price is that his people come and fix it, because we paid them to do that. If we switch people, I'm sure that that kind of null and voids the service.
Is this a monthly fee, this $374?
I believe that's
It doesn't say.
I think it's a yearly.
That's what I thought.
It's a yearly fee because three times 374 is going to get you to 1,200. And if it was a monthly thing for 3 years, it'd be way over the 1,400.
Well, if you're getting a new IT person or new providers in the fall,
Right.
August, yeah.
we just
But
want to
then we might
continue
just
this,
want to
yeah.
do the renewal and look into a new server at that point in time. Any thoughts, Michael?
Well, there are advantages because of the lower price in keeping the current server. If it's causing you problems though, when you're getting a new website, you might want to talk to them to see how it would interact. And,
Oh, you just jogged my memory, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. He did say that the new server would be better for utilizing the .NET programs, the BSNA programs.
that answers my question. So, yeah, then I think there's no doubt we need to know.
The new server.
Yes.
But if we're going to find a new IT company for their support,
You might want to get it from
then
them.
we might want to, we might want to get it from them so that it's their service agreement, instead of spending $3,000 for them, with these people that we're with now, and then in August, we break that contract, so that kind of nulls our service
If we
agreement.
renew the contract, we get, back whatever money we prorated.
Is this guy going to quote it in August also?
Oh,
I would assume we just put it
yeah.
out to another.
That's probably the best idea of all.
Wait
We
till
renew
August.
it, if we
Right.
just renew it until probably July before this contract expires, so that way we have somebody ready, look into it in the next couple of months.
So see if you can prorate it for 3 months instead of the whole year.
Right.
Is that the motion? Are you making a motion?
Or do you want to just,
I make a motion that we renew at least until August, the current agreement.
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9, to make a motion to accept the resignation of Bill and Pat Genuine and Courtney Brumkamp. I'll make a motion to accept the resignations very unwillingly.
What happens if you don't accept the resignation?
That's what we're wondering.
Can we do this? Has anyone ever done that? I will second that.
All in favor? Aye.
And I would like to extend thank yous to the three, Pat and Bill Genuine and Courtney, for, your name. I'm sorry.
I'd like to see.
Can
this
we all
guy-
say nay?
Sure.
To be
Then
honest,
the
though,
motion doesn't carry.
that would really be a unprofessional thing. I mean, it's nice and humorous and stuff, but we gotta keep it down to business.
When it suits Michael.
Seriously, Kelly?
Really, that was uncalled.
Yeah, it sure was.
That was uncalled.
Seriously,
The
we're here for
appointment
business.
of Vicki Pierman, so I'm not sure she's still gonna want to be appointed. I have Ms. Pierman's, Mrs. Genuine wrote a letter of recommendation regarding, did you get that in your, because it was last minute, I'm not sure if everybody got that in their packets or not.
No, I didn't get it.
This is Genuine, heartily recommended, Vicki. She said her resume is outstanding. She's worked for Macomb County Courts for many years and is highly knowledgeable. She will bring a unique perspective to the ZBA because of her business acumen. Ms. Pyramid skills are detail-oriented with strong organizational skills and excellent written and oral communication skills, strong problem-solving skills, responsible and reliable. She's been a resident and homeowner of Cottrellville since 1997, retired district court administrator, served as volunteer treasurer of Cottrellville Township Parks and Rec Committee for 5 years. She's seeking appointment to give back to the community that she lives in. She understands that there's an opening for the ZBA and believes that she can work with the other board members in a professional manner to be fair to the citizens of our township.
I would like to say that in the past I have worked with Mrs. Perlman, and it was quite a joy to work with you. And I missed you, and I want you back.
So is that your motion?
I motion that we accept the appointment of Vicki Fairman to the zoning board of appeals.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to supervisor's report. I'd like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Genuine for all of their years of service and the time that they put in. We do need a new member for the planning commission and the ZBA, and we have no members for our Parks and Rec committee. If we do not get members by the next month in order to form a quorum, we will have to dissolve it. Also, thank you to Courtney for helping the Parks and Rec. I appreciate it. We had a webinar yesterday on with the new website company. The work is in progress. Hope to have it up by next month. The security cameras and systems are up and running now. The purpose of having the cameras are for the residents to have access to the township meetings on the township's future website that the residents have asked for, and we're currently filming this meeting right now. Copies of the official unedited township meetings will soon be available. They will also be placed on the website, and they'll be available at the office, hopefully after next month's meeting, so we can determine if there's going to be a cost to the residents or not. I did receive the $1,000 MTA scholarship for the academy. Broadband meeting tomorrow. We're still working diligently. We're making progress, although it's very, very slow. Tomorrow we'll be looking at an action plan that incorporates the top choices from what the recommendations were with the 30 people that from across the county that we're working with. And hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to schedule a meeting with an actual broadband service provider, which is huge because we have everything we need except for a provider. So if we can get that out there, and he's helping us find some ways to get the broadband here, so that will be really, really great. So that'll be happening tomorrow. I checked the park equipment and placed the new sheets of the parks rules on the board. Working on estimates for sand and mulch. I'd like to thank Mr. Kaufman for getting the picnic tables down and able to use, and for his volunteers. Working on the waterfront park, people have noticed that there's new real estate sign there. Have no idea why it's there, can't reach Sam. Our attorney did speak with his attorney. His attorney said as far as he knows, everything's still going on, and Sam hasn't sent anything to him, so that's a work in progress, being that we found that information out 2 days ago when we were doing our park job. The cemetery ordinance and sexton duty should be ready for next month, and almost completing with those. Still waiting on the Santa and Easter egg hunt pictures from Mr. Zorn.
I never was supposed to do this, do you? I've already given them to the people.
You were supposed to turn those into the township. I won't argue with you, I'll go back in the minutes in January. Worked with the road commission on finalizing our projects. The stone will begin hopefully around June, end of this month. Chloride should be done by July 4th or 5th. Sent out several blight violations. Some have complied. Those that haven't have 30 days before it be turned over to the township attorney. Working on 2 water meters and water contracts. Next month, we'll have an answer as to how much the cost will be to the residents for the extra water meter. Also working with our auditors right now with regards to our water contracts. As of right now, all 3 of the contracts that we have are in compliance with the agreements that we have. But I want to look into the charges, and just some different things, and he's going to help me with that. So we'll get to that, more of that, and have some more answers for that in June. Let's see, working on cleaning up the house fire on Lozon Road. Sandy and I went over there the other day because we had a complaint that there were animals there. There was ducks and or geese and roosters and animals, and the house is burnt down to the ground. So we did call Animal Patrol to ask if they would take a look on it. I'm also not having any response with the residents, so now we're moving on to see what we can do to get the mess cleaned up so that the residents don't have to look at it. It's pretty terrible when it rains. They're having some issues with smell and things like that. Plus they're concerned about what might get in the air in the water system if it's not cleaned up soon. Let's see what else we have. The Cottrell drain, the drain commissioner's been working on digging that out. There's about a 1.5 foot of sediment in the bottom. They're resetting the culvert to the right elevation. The road commission's going to have to go out to jet out the enclosure at the top end, which will help with the flooding at Chartier and Thompson, which I don't know if you guys know that it's a huge mess over there when it rains. So we're hoping to clear that up for those people in that part of the community. I also had Mr. Wiley take a look at the lady who had a complaint on Shortcut Road with regards to her property. And where that I went out there with Mr. Wiley, and he told me that him and Mike went out there as well. Being that the Drain Commission is on a tight budget, we're looking at maybe seeing if we can put it out for contractors that are willing to work on the county's drain on the south side to help with the flow of the water and to make it a more affordable option for the township. That's work in progress as well. And I guess the last thing will be that the treasurer and the deputy treasurer have been talking and discussing, and they're working out a way to extend the treasurer's office hours. And they will be open an hour earlier, and it's just the treasurer's office only, and it's a trial run, so it'll be 8 a.m. Monday through Thursday, closing at 5 on Monday and 12. The closing hours will still be the same. They'll just be open an hour earlier. The clerk's office will still remain opening at 9 o'clock. It'll be a 6-month trial period to see what kind of flow we have coming in, if it's necessary, because we also have payments available on the website, through the website. So that is all I have now. So we'll move on to public comments on any agenda item. Or do you like to review an item? Let's discuss it.
My name is Josh Niels, 440 Little Avenue. I would like to commend you on your research on the garbage issue. You don't always have to know the answer, you just have to know where to find it. I think that everything you laid out was very professional, and I would like to see you do more of that. I think it was great.
Thank you.
I have to make a public presentation.
Oh,
Vicki.
the passing of the.
Oh, the passing of the book. Yay, that's official. Okay, Joe. Sorry about that.
Joe Roshan, Michael, Cottrellville Township. In regards to your server and the renewal, get a new server. That one's on borrowed time right now. I've worked on computers all my life. High Tech is a very good serviceable community.
So we can come to you when we're starting to look into it and ask for your opinion?
I would be more than happy to give those papers.
I'm writing you down, Joe. Thank you. Thank you
Any
for
companies that
volunteering.
help.
Tim Gomes, 6996 Markle Road. I'm the owner of Tim's Lawn. I'd like to thank everybody, thank the board for giving me the opportunity for cutting the lawn, taking care of everything out here. Hopefully everything will be all right. I'm sure it will be. If you guys have any questions or something, please call me and we can, I'm positive we'll be good.
Thank you.
Pitt Runyon, in regard to the planning commission, the planning commission in past practices has reviewed ordinances. We're typically over the zoning ordinances and the master plan, but in the past we reviewed the ordinances as advised by the board. So if there's any ordinances that you do need to be reviewed, just let us know and we'll be happy to review them.
Thank you.
And they have reviewed, I understand in the last, because I wasn't always there, in the last 5 years, they
I
reviewed
think
most
about
of the
the
ordinances.
last 2.5 years, we finished writing the book.
And then there's a whole
It was
bunch,
approved by the county metropolitan planning. We had a professional planner working with us. I mean, this thing has been reviewed to death.
right. And it may be that the actual books aren't updated, but we're working on that to see what's missing on that book. Because there's a list of ordinances that we didn't review.
Madam Supervisor, may I ask Planning Commission Chairperson Runyon, three meetings ago, we were talking about the...
Michael, you can adjust me and I'll adjust it.
Okay. 3 meetings ago, you had told me that you were going to give me that the updated version, but I was constantly told we can't find it. Do you know why that is?
For bookkeeping, filing, we're looking for it. It's where.
I can give you a copy of it. And I wanted to say something else. At the last planning meeting, in regard to Michael, the planners suggested to Michael that instead of worrying about reviewing the ordinances, that maybe he would like to organize a bureau to enforce the ordinances, because there are some ordinances that need to be enforced. And so that was a suggestion, and it's probably in the minutes.
Yes, I actually was thinking before that. And Mrs. Runyon, I
Missed it.
Okay, I actually thought that was an excellent suggestion.
Is this Mrs. Runyon's comment period time, or is it Mr. Zoran's?
It related to what she said, let's put it that way. Obviously, I'm not allowed to speak, so.
Well, I'm not going to say
She's real light.
She's anyway. Anyway, thank you. I just wanted to let you know that.
All right, moving on to board comments. Michael?
Yeah,
Oh, wait a minute, are you ready for your 3 minutes? Wait, I gotta make sure it's okay, so.
it looks like there was some answers. I mean, they're hidden behind the camera, but.
It's okay, I think that's Cal Sunday, 55. Just for future reference, do I have to give my answers? Does it really matter?
No,
They don't require it for those.
no.
I required that for, on my meetings.
It's, if I could say, it's not reflected in any minutes. It's not going to
We
be
don't put
public
it out there or
today.
anything, just to verify that.
I support Zoran, I support the whole board, but we gotta start really working together, guys.
I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mike Hughes, Marine City. I just wanted to say, the board can make all the policies that they want, but their policies do not supersede local law, state law, I'm sorry, not local law, state law, federal law, or the Constitution. Well, that's my public comment, and that's what I have to say.
Thank you. That's absolutely.
This is America. Good job.
Very good, Troy. You were right.
Oh, board comments?
No,
Yes,
just sitting.
Start over.
for board comments, you know, I attempted to make a motion tonight. It's pretty obvious that I don't even get to be heard. What board in the entire state doesn't let their board members make a comment? What you have here is four good old boys, more so
Mike,
than
when
the
you tried to
previous.
make a motion, when you want to make a motion, it was on something that wasn't on the agenda. Therefore, you were violating the open meeting. Act, but I
No,
think
it's not a violation.
No,
Yes,
you don't, it
that's
doesn't
not
have to
Let
be.
him
on the-
speak.
It doesn't have to be on the agenda. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. A motion can be made at any time during a meeting. And
It
there's been,
has
make,
to be on the agenda.
Because they gotta be.
It's circumventing the open meetings act.
Exactly, pretty much the same as a school board.
Yeah, no, it's state law.
All right, let's let
I have a
Michael,
book.
sorry,
I'm bringing
Michael,
it.
for interrupting you.
He's got it with him.
you know what? To tell you the truth, I'm not gonna bother because I'm just gonna take it to the media because maybe they'll listen to me.
Oh, boy.
Shut up.
That's right, it varies everybody.
All right, let's let the board talk. Are you done?
Yes.
Sandy, you want your 3 minutes?
No, I'm good.
I just have one statement to make.
Guys, quiet, please.
What are you gonna do, get the
Mia.
shot?
She's
Please.
talking to me.
Okay, both of you. Thank you.
She's turned around, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mia, if I ask you again, I'm asking you.
It's all right, the meeting's almost over.
With response to his motion where he, or statement that he feels that he can at any point in time burst out with whatever he wants to burst out with, i.e. a motion, there is a reason why at the very beginning of the meeting, the first thing we approve is the agenda. You cannot stray from the agenda. If you want something new on the agenda, you can have it added. That's why there's a 2/3 vote by the board to add it. You can, during any point in the meeting, amend the agenda. But
But
in
we
order
can't
for
recall
you
you.
to get a new motion
We can recall
stated
it.
and voted on, it has to be voted on to be placed on the agenda. So to just say, I get to make a motion whenever I feel like it, is incorrect. That is circumventing the Open Meetings Act. You have to have it approved by the board to be placed on the agenda, and then it can be addressed. If it's not on the agenda, you cannot address it. That's all I think.
Motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at
I got it.
9:09.
Recall the good old boys.
Favor?
See, they got recalled.
Courtney, Carly, okay?
They all in favor for the recall, Kyle.
That makes it easier.
Bye-bye, guys.
All right.